Okay, here we go. We're going to continue on, but we're going to now look at this instructional strategy using model, shared, guided, independent when we're talking specifically about teaching writing. So we looked at reading, now we're going to look at writing. And again, what we're going to do in our collaborate time is we will look at specific examples then, but I want to just give you sort of the theory behind it. So again, this should start to look familiar. In instructional literacy strategy, we're going from high teacher support to low teacher support, modeled instruction, shared, guided, and independent. So there we go. That should get you through there. Just like we did with reading, in modeled reading, we do think alouds in modeled writing. So again, we are trying to think aloud so that the students can see that writers go through a process. Oftentimes, I think students, we tell them these processes or these strategies, but they don't really get that you need to internalize them and use them. And it seems funny, but you know, we talk a lot, and sometimes the kids don't know what's important, what's not. But yet, when we think aloud, when we're like, I didn't know about this, or I wonder about this, it just seems to make it clear to them that that's important, that that's an important concept. Okay, so remember that in your writing, this is again a throwback to 371. Your conventions of writing you're going to look at grammar, vocab, spelling, all those kind of things. But then you're also going to look at genres. So do they like to write in a particular genre, and what does writing in a different genre actually mean? You're also going to bring in the idea in writing of revising and editing. And I think revising is a key point, that it's making it better. Editing is that nitpicky, there's a spelling error here and that, but revising is this, let's brainstorm ideas that can actually make your pretty decent writing even better. So as we go through this video on writing, keep those kind of basics around writing. So things like conventions, like grammar, spelling, vocab, things like that, different genres, and then the whole concept of revising. Okay, so there's my mouse. So again, a think aloud. So now I'm going to start a new sentence. I know that when I start a new sentence, I need to use a capital letter. So since the first word of my sentence is I'm going to start with a capital T. And then you print an actual capital T on the chart letter. So again, I'm just going to find my little funny pencil. You are reinforcing the idea of starting a new sentence, that when you start a new sentence, that you have to use a capital letter. And then you go, okay, the first word is the, so I'm going to put a capital T on that. And then the children actually see you do that right in front of them. So that's the cool thing about Think Alouds. I'm going to leave the other two examples for you to read, so you might just want to pause for a sec, have a read through those, so that you can kind of get a sense of what read or think alouds in writing actually look like. But I'm going to continue. Oh, I'm on my other screen here. Okay, so it's the same kind of process I'm going to take you through for writing. So prep for modeled writing is in preparation for doing this. You need to, again, identify the teaching point. Remember, you have like 5 to 15 minutes to do this. You gotta know exactly what you want to teach. Don't waffle. Know exactly what you want to teach. Then decide what genre and format best suits the teaching point. So do you bring in a fiction book? Do you bring in a nonfiction book? What do you talk about mystery? Do you talk about conventions? So what is actually going to be the best suited for the teaching point? And then plan what you are going to write, as well as how and when you will stop and think aloud as you model what effective writers do as related to your teaching point. Again, don't wait for inspiration. oh, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to have an amazing teaching moment. You might, but it's way better to plan, because then you are in control of what you are teaching, and you have actually thought through when you're going to stop and what you're going to say in there. Okay, so before the modeled writing time, so before you actually start to write in front of the students, introduce the purpose of your writing. So we're going to work on the idea of writing a guidebook today. And you need to introduce your audience. We're going to write a guidebook for incoming students into grade 6 for next year. And then the genre and the format. Okay, and the way that we're going to do this is we're going to do it by brainstorming and then coming up with different points all together as a class. You want to activate students' topic knowledge through questioning. What do you know about guidebooks? Has anybody ever read a guidebook? Hey, go to the class library of 1,500 books and pick out a guidebook. Okay, and then review or introduce key concepts about the teaching point. You just keep coming back. You cannot say it enough. I think sometimes we think if we say it once to grade 3 students that they get it. They don't. We need to keep repeating in here. Okay, during the modeled reading, so while you're actually doing this, is you narrate the composition of a text and decisions made while writing. So you're actually writing some of the text out, and you are saying, okay, I think I'm going to make my decision about, I'm going to use more figurative language here because it will make my story more interesting. So you're modeling that writing, and you conduct think alouds to demonstrate the desired teaching point. Again, the students will eat it up. They like to kind of be in your head. It's not in a weird way, just kind of fun. Okay, so again, stop the video, watch this YouTube clip. It'll give you a better sense. I think this one's about 6 or 7 minutes, so not too long, but I'm going to just keep rolling here. Okay. Shared instruction. Again, we're starting to go from high teacher support, where you really are teaching like you kind of think of teaching, and now we're starting to release the pen a little bit to the students. Okay, so during shared writing, now this is where the students are starting to give you some ideas. They're starting to give you some input, again, around maybe an example of your writing and around the teaching point. So during the writing, use students' ideas, phrases, and or sentences to construct a text. So you're going to just, somebody yells out, I think you should describe it as vibrant green. Then you're like, that is a great word, and you write in vibrant. You question and prompt students to explain their ideas and form them into phrases or sentences with emphasis on the teaching point. In shared writing, the teacher holds the pen and scribes the text. I think this is important. Lots of times our kids, it's hard for them to go from their thoughts to pen and paper, to actually writing it down. So if a child has a really great, like, vibrant green, you're like, that's an amazing vocab word. I'm going to write that in, and you write it in. Then that child sees their word up there. They see it in a sentence, and it just gives them confidence, so that when you get to that independent writing time, they've seen the fruits of their own imagination already written down, and it just really supports them, versus saying, okay, I want you to write a sentence and I want you to use more figurative language, and they don't know what that means, or they don't know how to spell vibrant, or like that kind of thing. So they get bogged down. But when you hold the pen, it helps them. In interactive writing, so you're interacting, they're throwing ideas at you, you're writing them down, you're changing things. It's super fun. The teacher shares the pen, and students write a letter, word, phrase, or sentence. So maybe, and this is again where you know your kids, you know where they're at, you maybe scribe for some, and then this is all differentiation, right? You scribe for some, and then some that you know can actually come up and write it, then you have them come up and write it. And then eventually that child who when you've been working with them in small group, you now know that they have the confidence. And if there's that child that you've never asked to come up, you know exactly when they can come up and be successful. So it's again a really cool time. And again, conduct think alouds as necessary to demonstrate the desired teaching point. They just kind of get it when you say, I wonder if it would be better to use a different word here because it kind of doesn't fit with the rest of the paragraph and whatever it is. Okay. Again, here are some examples of shared writing in grade 2 and 3. Again, have a bit of a go with this so that you can really get a sense of what is going on. So stop the video, go watch, and come on back for guided instruction. Okay, so again, this, just like guided reading, this is when we pull those small groups of 3 or 4 kids and we work on their writing with them. We can, and it again depends on what that particular child needs to work on. If they need to work on conventions, spelling, grammar, punctuation, capitalization, then that's what you pinpoint. If they need to work on not just rushing through their work, then that's what you work on. If you need to work on figurative language and bringing in onomatopoeias and personification, then that's what you work on. So again, it's very focused on the child and where they're at. Okay, so guided writing. In guided writing, the focus is on students composing text on their own with only some teacher support. So you are there and you are supporting them in their writing so that if they come up against sort of a hurdle, you're right there instantly. In like 5 seconds, you can get them going. Think about in a regular classroom when the kid sits there with their hand up and you're circulating. How long are they sitting there? 6 minutes. I timed some kids in my student teacher's class. The kids were sitting there with their hand up for 6 minutes. At 6 minutes the last time. This, you can get them going in like 5 seconds. Okay, teacher will choose a reason for grouping students and provide a focus and explicit mini lesson to teach a particular skill with a small group of students. So if you need to go back over capitalization skills, you do it, and you do it quick and you laser it and then move on so that they can actually practice it. Students then try that skill on their own by writing their own texts. After the writing, they share what they've written and engage in conversation about the purpose of the lesson and how it related to their writing. And then in guided writing, the teacher observes students write, and he or she is there to coach and encourage as necessary. So they should be writing the whole time. They can be firing questions at you. You're answering back. You're working on a specific skill that is pertinent to them. Okay, so again, go and watch these videos on guided writing because it'll give you a much better sense. And then we will finish off with independent writing, which of course is ultimately where we want our kids to be. We want them to be able to independently write. And again, like I said in the reading video, oftentimes, so I'm going to get my little pencil out here. Oftentimes we go from modeled instruction where we say, okay, this is how we use quotation marks, and this is we use at the beginning of and then at the end, and then you explain it, and then you go and you say to the kids, okay, go practice that on your own. The kids who don't get it are going to just be like, what? Can I draw a question mark? Oh yeah. Well, kind of. What is going on? And then that's again where they haven't had a chance to try it out with their peers in a very social situation in the shared, and then specifically with you in the guided. So again, I think it's really useful to go through this kind of strategy. Okay, so, oh, where am I? Where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. Okay, so again, this is ultimately where we want to get them. We want students to create their own text using what has been learned in model, shared, and guided writing as exemplars. You still need to provide many lessons to them so that they learn these things, but that's ultimately so that they become independent writers. The students practice what they already know about writing So they should have had, through all of your modeled, shared, guided, they should have some skills in writing, and then they practice what they already know. Don't jump ahead to things that they don't know how to write. Like, don't say, okay, go write a guidebook when you've never done a mini lesson on it. You're setting them up for failure. Okay? And then have students can write using a variety of genres or text types. Again, if your outcome is that they can express themselves, doesn't matter if they write an encyclopedia definition, or if they write a short story, or if they write a poem. Again, you have to know those outcomes and be like, okay, actually, this child demonstrated that they know how to express themselves, and they can express themselves through a variety of genres that they are the most interested in. I've seen lots of writing projects around, okay, write about a squirrel. And it's like, lots of kids are like, I don't care about squirrels. So how are they supposed to be super inspired to write about a squirrel when they don't really care about a squirrel? So again, that's a little bit of thinking about that our writing time, the Marilyn Prill. Why I'm trying to get you to do a life list is so that you have things that are important to you to write about. And so you can use those. So again, think about that with students, is let them write about things that they're passionate about and they actually know something about. You'll have lots of kids who come from a farming background. Let them write about their Charolais bull. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we want them to write. And the easiest thing that they can write about is something that they know about and that they're interested in. So think about that when you're getting them to do independent writing, that maybe everybody doesn't need to look exactly the same. And finally, students share their drafts with the teacher and each other. Again, celebrate every level of writing. So if a child is just started a draft and they just have an idea for a writing project, let them share that. It doesn't always have to be final product. I think we emphasize that final product, and sometimes we need to emphasize and celebrate the journey a little bit more in there. Okay. And finally, independent writing should again look like, maybe it's a storyboard with a little bit of a mix of a graphic novel in there. Maybe it's again a cool combination of visuals and text. Maybe it's our sort of traditional, what we think of as writing in the notebook and handwritten. Again, start to broaden your idea of what students can do in independent writing to actually fulfill those outcomes. All right, that was a good romp through. I don't think there's any more. Is there another one? Oh, it's the same slide as the reading one. And again, with writing, this can be, again, you have 90 minutes or 95 minutes in Alberta for English language arts. So maybe this is half of your class and the rest is the reading time. Maybe you flip-flop. This would be part of could be a part of your daily plan. It could be part of a unit. You can teach your unit through something like this. So again, it's just a really amazing instructional strategy where you really get to know your kids and you can really set them up for success. Awesome. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, I will do some examples in our Collaborate time. All right, take care.